Hi y'all, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be sharing my newly built Forgotten Lands with y'all. I do decorate all of these on stream, so if you ever want to see the full process, come and join us over there. We would love to have you. So let's get right into the build. I really wanted to go full fairy forest here. I didn't want anything spooky or scary. I wanted it to be 100% whimsical and bright and fun. I was really inspired by the way the yellow popped with the rest of the purple biome. So we do a lot of yellows, oranges, and obviously purples. And I always start out by pulling out the major features that I want in the builds. I pull out all of the houses I think would look great. I pull out some of the bigger pieces such as those pavilions. And then obviously I have to go and move around where I want Goofy's stall and really kind of map out where I think everything would fit nicely to give us a good flow. You'll also see that I'm placing tons of these wish blossom flowers, and I was so lucky because I found these in Scrooge's shop one day, completely random, and I just knew I had to place them in the Forgotten Lands. Once I get all the wish blossoms placed, it's time to start moving on to paths, and I was so happy to finally be able to use this cobblestone path from Wish Blossom Ranch. It fit so perfectly with everything I was trying to do in this biome. So I do what I normally do and map out all the curves and make it connect to all the houses that I placed previously. I start pulling out a couple of different lamps that I think would go wonderful in this biome, and I ended up settling on the ones that came when we got to Timon and Pumbaa. I also purposely left a gap in the center of my path so I could do some sort of flower box centerpiece there, and I go through a couple of different bushes before I settle on a design that I really love. Then I start going in and adding a couple of other focal features and little details that I think are really going to start bringing this build to life. I used tons of different items from the Garden of Whimsy Star path that we got about a year ago, such as some of these Alice in Wonderland flowers and this beautiful gazebo. Then I also go back and forth on finishing the paving, and that's just because I didn't have enough resources at the time, so as I slowly collected the resources and path, I started completing the path. You'll also see me walk through the build every once in a while, and that's just because, in my opinion, the build feels completely different when you walk through versus when you're in build mode. What looks super empty in build mode could feel super full when you're walking through. I also needed to make sure I was able to maneuver and get to everywhere I needed to be able to go gameplay-wise. You'll see me start pulling out tons of different items because I want to pull out as much as possible just to see if it fits, if I like the way it looks. And no, not all of these items make it into the build, but I did want to keep some of it in just to show that it's not always a seamless process when you're building. You know, you pull out items you think you're going to use, and then in the end, they just don't fit what you're looking for, or they're just a little bit too big. But one item that does really inspire me and I ended up keeping in was the Aurora Borealis. This was a premium shop item, and I know a lot of people used it in their Frosted Heights, but I was really inspired to use it in my Forgotten Lands as I felt it gave me that whimsy, fun, magical look that I was going for. I also started adding in a couple of these extra lights and toyed around with different types of wishing wells. I don't end up keeping this one. I loved the glowing flowers on it, but I don't think the sugar skull matched the rest of the vibe we were going for. Now I start going in and replacing the old lighting that I put down because I wasn't sure if I wanted to have that more purpley magical glow, but when I walked through it at some point, it just felt very overwhelming at night, and I remembered that I really loved these ones that we used earlier in our little flower bed. So we go around and start placing all of our lampposts, and then after that, it's time to start adding tons of different trees and bushes and all the other foliage pieces that make a build come to life. I was going around placing bushes and trees as I normally do, which is by taking one kind, putting it everywhere I think it fits best before moving on to the next one, when I realized that this section looked very empty and was very open to the sunlit plateau down below, so we ended up filling it with this beautiful bookshelf pergola from Storybook Vale. And after we did that, I went back and started adding more bushes and trees and other little touches that makes the area feel just that much more magical and a little less open. After completing most of the foliage, I remembered that Wish Blossom Ranch came with this beautiful fence with lots of fairy lights, and I just had to use it to separate all the spaces. It was so beautiful and added that extra touch of whimsy I was looking for. It also gave me a good opportunity to kind of try and hide the awkward edge next to the treehouse. Now everyone knows when you're decorating in the Forgotten Lands, you either gotta try and hide the treehouse the best you can or blend it in. And I kind of tried to do both, but the fence made it so it didn't look so empty next to it because it has such a large footprint, you can't really put anything next to it. So when you're walking through, it feels really whimsical and not empty at all. With the fencing finished, we move on to our finishing touches, which is more foliage, filling in all those empty spaces with extra bushes, trees, flowers, and any other little furniture pieces that I think would complete the build nicely. With the last couple bushes and trees placed, my Forgotten Lands is officially complete, and I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out. It is the fairy dreamland that I have always wished for. And if y'all have enjoyed today's video, feel free to give it a like, and subscribe if you want more cozy content. Like I said at the beginning, I stream all of my builds here on YouTube. We play tons of DDV together. We have also started playing some Star Sand Island, and would love to have you stop in at a stream sometime. After all the screenshots are done, you'll see a little video tour of what it's like to walk through this fairy dreamland. And I look forward to seeing y'all on our next adventure.